This is specifically for my dad. Parents always wish for better things for their children. This is called the onion picker's dream. Distance between me, my father, sacks of onions, fields of sweat, American born, speaking no English, yet well providing for the English-speaking world of hand-picked onions for happy American grills. Distance between me, my future, stacks of books, proliferation of papers, Mexican tested, getting on by with English picked up from comic books where was the first English word spoken. Distance between me, my ethnicity, those hot onion fields so long, long ago for American classrooms that never end for those that ended many decades ago abruptly for my onion picking father. Distance between that boy, this man is what I have made of it, is what I have left to speak for on improving that long distant dream that was originally my father's very own. Thank you. My dad always said he sent me to school to learn not to fight, which that was another problem I had. So, this is called Push Farther, my father said. Of course, if you work the onion fields, my dad would send me up ahead several yards, and he'll come and meet me. Usually going slower than him, he'll catch up and then push me further again. So this is in reference to that idea. Push farther, my father said. Under a clear Texas sky, the rain of poverty hit hard. Sacks of onions upon my back, a memory distant, yet not far away. Push farther, my father said. This land will be reconquered, regrown season upon season, like life since when then, with onions, and more onions. Push farther, my father said, beyond this fields, into others where I would not be on my knees, where the loose dirt will be under me, not on me, not over me. Push farther, my father said, in the only language he knew. That's why I learned this one, to wield the words that would free me from a lifetime of onion fields. Push farther, my father said. Thank you. Next up is the 2015-2017 Macallan Poet Laureate, Priscilla Celina Suarez. Through that wall, through that wall, through that wall, through that wall.
So I wanted to open up, for any of you who are interested in learning about immigration in the borderlands and hearing the perspective and the voices of brown people. If you don't already know of her, I'd like to introduce you to Gloria Saldúa. This book is from the 80s. It was published in the 80s, but we consider it the Chicano Bible. And so when we have students learning about the borderlands, students learning about immigration, about borderland politics, about identity, about, there's so many topics, but I would recommend picking up this book to learn about our history as immigrants in the borderlands and how it's affected us, and how our rights have been taken away, and just the history. So it's very important. And I'm gonna open up with a poem from Gloria's book, The Homeland, Aztlán. Wind tugging at my sleeve, feet sinking into the sand, I stand at the edge where earth touches ocean, where the two overlap, a gentle coming together, at other times and places a violent clash. Across the border in Mexico, stark silhouette of houses gutted by waves, cliffs crumbling into the sea, silver waves marbled with spume, gashing a hole under the border fence. Miro al mar atacar, la cerca en Borderfield Park, con sus buchones de agua, on Easter Sunday, resurrection of the brown blood in my veins. Oigo el llorido del mar, el respiro del aire. My heart surges to the beat of the sea. In the gray haze of the sun, the gull's shrill cry of hunger, the tangy smell of the sea seeping into me. I walk through the hole in the fence to the other side. Under my fingers, I feel the gritty wire, rusted by 139 years of the salty breath of the sea. Beneath the iron sky, Mexican children kick their soccer ball across, run after it, entering the U.S. I press my hand to the steel curtain. Chain link fence crowned with rolled barbed wire, rippling from the sea where Tijuana touches San Diego, unrolling over mountains and plains and deserts. This tortilla curtain turning into Rio Grande, flowing down the flatlands of the magic valley of Zapotecas, its mouth emptying into the Gulf. 1,950-mile-long open wound, dividing a pueblo, a culture, running down the length of my body, staking fence rods in my flesh, splits me, me raja. This is my home, this thin edge of barbed wire. But the skin of the earth is seamless. The sea cannot be fenced. El mar does not stop the borders. To show the white man what she thought of his arrogance, Yamaya blew that wire fence down. This land was Mexican once, was Indian always, and is, and will be again. Yo soy un puente tendido, del mundo gabacho al del mojado. Lo pasado me estira para atrás y lo presente para adelante. Que la Virgen de Guadalupe me cuide. Ay, 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 soy mexicana de este lado. So it's something that has to do a lot with the identity of many of us who are children of immigrants. So as a daughter of immigrants, an American daughter of immigrants, what this wall means to me is a lack of empathy. It's not about the politics. You have to have empathy. And so that's what this is for me. This is why I support immigrants, and it's just the way my heart is, the way my soul works. We have empathy. And so that has a lot to do with the poetry that I write. That's the way I say screw the wall. I talk about why people are immigrating over here, why we should have empathy, what it means for them, what it meant for my family, and what it means for my family now. And so a lot of it has to do with inseguridad, insecurity. We are very, very safe on this side. From the valley, we're very, very safe. It's such a safe zone for us. But we're also aware that across the river, it might not be so safe all the time. And just, there's so many things happening, and just crossing that border, the safety that embraces us is so evident, and many of us are so ignorant of it. And so back in 2011, there were 193 bodies recovered from mass graves in San Fernando, Tamaulipas. Most were the remains of Central American migrants. And so this is a poem that I wrote based on that. A newspaper headline. 1. That shakes open a newspaper so the headline faces me. Another cartel drug boss in custody en este lado. A standoff and a conspiracy. It goes in circles. But those handcuffed hands are of a lifeline that doesn't end with a cell. I need family and friends to be angry as I am. Maybe they are, and maybe I overreact sometimes. We as a raza have overcome many obstacles together. That headline is uncertain. 2. Mass grave found in San Fernando. San. 3. I've heard my community's voice in the words of a Frontera blogger. Things we'd never say in public. We're never really safe from the inseguridad. Uncertain of the truths. Rumors reach our ears, even in Estelao. Driving home a few days later, at a bus stop, I make eye contact with a viejita. She doesn't smile, doesn't look away. I see those eyes when I look in the rearview mirror. I see those eyes on the face of a journalist gone missing in Tijuana. I see those eyes in 2 portraits included in the obituaries page. I see those eyes when I pray to God. I see them as I write this. And so one of the things that this poem also talks about and touches on is the fact that we need to be documenting our stories, because we do have a lack of, I would say, communication. We do have a lack of journalists covering the reality of what's really happening. And so there are those rumors, there are those false, really, really false, what is published as truth. They're not truths, they're false statements that try to bring all this insecurity from their line over here, from this side over here, and the insecurity isn't here, it's in el otro lado. So it's very important for us to be documenting our stories. whether it be through writing poetry, whether it be through behind the lens. There's so many ways that we could do that, but we have to do that because the stories and the truths and the experiences that we're living aren't being written by us, aren't being, they're not being distributed as they should be. So I am gonna move on to, so my mother passed away in 2018, and it took me a few months to grieve her. I didn't know what was wrong with me as a daughter. I just couldn't cry. Of course I missed her, I loved her. I just didn't understand why I couldn't cry, why I couldn't grieve the way everybody else grieves. And then something happened in July of 2018, something that happened in our community in the Valley. We started seeing the separation of children from, they were separating them from their parents. And so when that happened, oh my gosh, it just, something burst, and what I was seeing, what I was hearing, what I was reading about from bloggers, and just the stories that you were hearing in our community were how children were being separated. They came, some were babies, some were, toddlers, teenagers, and the impact that it had on them, and them being caged up and being separated, and when they would come back to their families, some of them several months later, some of them are still separated, but those that did go back to their families, they went through such an experience, such a turmoil, that they would tell their parents that they wanted to go back to the cages. They wanted to go back. They didn't want to be with their parents. And that trauma that they experienced is so deep and something that seems to be ignored a lot. And so one of the things, going back and hearing these mothers losing their children, being separated because of their immigration and the river that's there in the background, and then having their children come back, but it's not the same child they lost. It reminded me of the story of La Llorona, crying for their children and searching for the ghosts of these kids. And so this is a poem that I wrote based on that. Las Lloronas en el Valle. There are rivers south of here, where borders divide hopes from dreams, where el cielo is overwhelmed with prayers as they drift, one by 10,000, where tears flow and never lick their open wounds. Hope en el otro lado, uprooted, fear in what is home and fear in what isn't. Fear wrapped around like a cobija, a second skin. 2. There are rivers, north, where a sanctuary awaits in el otro lado, to trap them, divide them, where they learn how dreams are stolen. Mañana, the distance becomes ginormous. 3. There are rivers of tears, children grasping in panic at their mother's waist, hands, imprints, locked in cages, no embraces, but the chorus of cries drowning out their own, so they drown. 4. Mis niños, ¿dónde están mis niños? Brown mothers with burnt skin search for their children. No answers. Children lost in a river of separated children. ¿Dónde están mis niños? And so there's so many things that have been happening. We have seen how poets have become activists in our community. And we've just seen how there are so many key people in our community who have gone out there and who are doing things to change all this. And so I do want to point out that you guys should probably at some point, if you're interested in more about what's going on in our community, Lily over here without it, she would be she's a really active person in our community who knows about a lot of things happening, and she has those personal experiences. I'm volunteering her, I'm sorry, Lily, but she has, she has this huge heart and so many experiences and so many stories that she can share because she's on the front line. So she's definitely somebody that you guys should reach out to learn more about those experiences. And so, speaking of border walls, we don't need border walls. We already have invisible borders that are separating us, that are keeping us from crossing the river. For those of us that are in este lado, just of all those false, those rumors that we hear. And so, seeing how in the past decade, that puente, that bridge that would connect us from one side to the other, has become a puente that separates us. Just all this fear that really is, it shouldn't be there, but it is. And so sometimes we build those invisible borders ourselves. And so this is a poem I wrote about that. Invisible borders, in memory of the frontera that was. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. It is a dicho as natural as the next thought. In our culture, your roots are your ties, but they're not your future. At least that's not how it feels. Tell me who I am y te diré. I am confused. The holidays of jumping culturas have transitioned. Ni modo. I've made excuses. I confuse myself with theories. I jump from skin to shell with my lenguajes. That's what borders gave me. Infinite roads of luck and legends. Leyendas. That's what my sobrinos know of our frontera roots. Rooted, in all honesty. That absence of confusion will be their invisible border. Not knowing what it feels like to be uprooted. Not knowing what it feels like to be uprooted, and not knowing lenguajes consist of more than what you can hear. I listen to their voices and understand. They know only of belonging, while I struggle to pertain. Invisible borders, shedding and keeping me out. Ni modo. And so, I'll finish with one more poem. Back in 2015, when I did become the City of McAllen Poet Laureate, they asked me to write a poem for the inauguration. And so I did, and at that time I wanted to write something about what related to my community. And I'm a procrastinator, so I waited till the very last day to get this together. But what was happening was in December of 2014 is we started getting a surge of immigrants in our community. And so at that point, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, how our city was going to respond to it, but I have a lot of pride in saying that McAllen became a sanctuary city. Of course, not without a fight, you know, but I'm very proud to say that we are a sanctuary city. And so this is a poem that I wrote based on that pride. McAllen, our rinconcito. Dancing on bare feet as I jump in my car, I hear Mama remind me not to forget the pan dulce before heading to Huela's house. K-Tex slowly drowns the outside noises as I slip on my chanclas, and Bo Garza's "I'm home" catches my attention. I'm home, everybody, I'm home. The aircon on full blast, competing with 105 heat index, Tim Smith predicted. Ay, que calor! There's nothing like a blue coconut raspa from young snow whiz to cool off with during the dog days of summer. Driving off from my parents' home in McAllen, the scent of citrus groves swims in through my car windows. A quinceañera's baile, drumming tunes from a neighboring dance hall. The Alba's Bakery is but a moment's drive. The scent of fresh corn tortillas and empanadas hitting me as I walk in. Los Tigres del Norte on the intercom, belting out golpes en el corazón. Pero tú, que me has dado golpes en el corazón, golpes en el corazón, are sometimes the memories that brought my familia closer. A viejito pays for his tamales and asks for extra salsita. With his accent and sombrero, I cannot help but to think of my abuelo. I slip back into my car and change the station. Ramon Ayala sings about un rinconcito en el cielo. A little piece of heaven is belonging. It is listening to cumbias and corridos while studying at the library, knowing the best taquitos and papas asadas can be served from a food truck. It is using dichos and getting your point across, being an English speaker and somehow having that strong Che accent. It is looking forward to the fall because our winter Texan friends come home. This little piece of heaven is acknowledging your roots will always hold on. It is remembering our home is a community that warms memories because it forever embraces us. This is our rinconcito. Thank you.